Welcome to our YouTube channel. Once again, I'm Akoko Amenfi, and thank you for joining us. Starting a poultry farm could be one of the most exciting things you can ever do, but it can also be one of the most stressful. Now, before you start your poultry farm and get all excited about it, here are the 5 things you need to consider before starting your farm. First things first is location. Location. Wherever you got access to land that you want to use for your farm, does it have access to the roadside? What is the proximity of it to amenities? Where are you going to get your feed? Is it close to a residential area or is it too remote? If your location is too close to a residential area, you might have problems with the health authorities in your area. If it's too remote, getting access to your land is also going to be a problem. If you have eggs to sell, if you have birds to sell, if you need someone to bring you feed, if there is no easy access to your site, that's going to be a problem. So this is something that you need to take into consideration when you want to start a farm. Number 2, what type of birds are you going to raise? Are you going to raise the birds for their eggs, or are you going to raise the birds for their meat? Or maybe a combination of both. So this is something you need to take into consideration before you decide to start a poultry farm. Whether you are going to do layer birds, which is raising the poultry for their eggs, or broilers, if you are going to raise the birds for their meat. Third, what kind of system are you going to use to raise your birds? Are you going to use a free range where you allow the birds to just roam free? Are you going to use a deep litter system, which is the traditional system we've been using in Ghana? Or are you going to use a battery cage system where you keep the birds in rows of cages? Obviously, the amount of money that you have to start the business with is what's going to basically dictate the kind of system that you are going to use, which brings me to my next point. How much startup capital are you going to use? Poultry farming is a capital intensive business, whether you start small or you start big. If you don't have a lot of capital, then most likely you are going to do a lot of the things by yourself. If you have access to capital, then you can hire outside consultation. So you can have professionals actually doing much of the work for you before you start, which is going to be a very big beneficial thing to you in the future. Which brings me to my last point, other factors, the where. Where are you going to get your farm hands, people who are going to work for you? Where are you going to get experienced people to work for you? Where are you going to source your equipment? Where do you get feeders? Where do you get drinkers? Where do you get feed, access to medication, veterinary services? All those things are incredibly important things for you to think about before you decide to start a poultry farm. So, think long and hard about all these things. Consider all 5 extremely important before you start the farm. And that's going to save you a lot of headache, a lot of money, and a lot of time. Once again, thank you for joining us. I'm Akoko Amenfi, and we hope to see you in the next video.